Hello, my name's Ben.
And my name's Josh.
Welcome back to FPL graduates and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to go through some transfer targets ahead of game week 35. The back end of the season is approaching quickly. We're going to be looking to transfer targets. They are going to be now short-term picks because, of course, we've not got that many weeks left of the season. Without further ado, let's drop into the first player.
Yes, so we're going into our transfer targets. Jake O'Brien is up first. Mental how there's only 4 game weeks of the season left to go. It feels like it's game week 1 yesterday. Jake O'Brien, though, has come into the team relatively late in the season for Everton, playing at that right-back role since David Moyes has taken over. 3 clean sheets and 2 attack and returns in that time, which is not too bad going considering his underlying data. The main thing with these Everton assets is that their fixtures are probably and arguably some of the best until the end of the season. What you do have to bear in mind, though, is obviously Everton have nothing to play for now, so there is a case of a few of the teams maybe being on the beach a little bit early. What's your thoughts on that in general, Ben, and then also Jake O'Brien as a pick?
Yeah, I think you have to take that into consideration with all of your picks from now on. Like, if despite some of the teams that we're going to mention having tougher fixtures, they're going to be better picks in general, due to the fact that they've got something to play for towards the end of the season. I do think as well, like, you have to be very selective, and it's very much sort of a case of what team you pick. Like, there could be teams that are now prepping for next season in the Championship, like those bottom 3 that we spoke about. So yeah, I think it's very subjective in terms of on the beachness. We speak about it a lot. It's very dependent. I think for a team in mid-table, it's definitely going to be more impactful, especially if they are secure in their position. Remember, like, in terms of league positionings, there is still like quite a lot of impact financially and revenue wise for these clubs. It's millions of pounds between each position, so there are some clubs who will sort of push towards that. Maybe an Everton would, due to sort of PSR rulings, etc. So yeah, it's almost a case of how you sort of see it personally. I think it is more of a risk to go with those teams rather than the teams that are pushing higher up into European places, etc. In terms of O'Brien, I don't mind the pick at all for the fixtures. I don't think it's a bad option. 4.5 is cheap enough that it doesn't hold too much risk either. Okay, so next up, we're going for a team that is pushing for Europe and does have pretty good fixtures between now and the end of the season as well. Milenkovic is the one that we've selected, and in all honesty, you could probably go for like maybe 2 or even 3 of the Forest players. You could pick any one of them and they have their merits. Milenkovic is 5.2 million, although I don't think budget will matter too much towards the end of the season. 6 attacking returns so far and 13 clean sheets. Has been really good, and a decent amount of big chance involvement for a centre half as well. So he is producing sort of a decent amount of attacking returns. Hopefully he'll get one more between now and the end of the season. That's what you should expect from someone like Milenkovic. Josh, what's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I think he's my pick of the bunch for those Forest defenders, just sheared down to the attacking threat. Pretty lively off the corner. 9 big chances so far this season. I think there's 4 goals, 2 assists in terms of the attack and returns when they're broken down. So yeah, decent attacking threat. I think overall that Forest defence doesn't offer too much in terms of going forwards. The clean sheets are the reason that you'll be getting them. Obviously, Leicester at home provides a good opportunity for that. Same as West Ham away as well. They've not been really that fluent under Graham Potter going forwards. Palace away, you could even argue, is a good fixture given the fact that they'll be focused on the FA Cup. Obviously, just coming off the back of that the semi-final a few days ago at the time of recording. So yeah, for me, it's almost a necessity really to have the Forest, at least a Forest defender anyway, just due to their sheer sort of combined ownership. So many managers will have them. So if you're looking to at least maintain your rank, I would definitely be going with at least one of them. Okay then, so next up we're going into the midfielders, and we're starting off with Kevin De Bruyne. He was obviously benched and rested in that FA Cup semi-final. Going into this week, he's the first game of the game week for these Manchester City assets. Wolves at home on the Friday night deadline. Don't forget that if you're looking in your team. I personally brought him in for the double game week, which wasn't the best, to be fair. He blanked twice in a row. Had that bonus point taken away from him late on as well. For me, I'm looking at potentially even captaining him, to be honest, against Wolves this week. What's your thoughts on him, Ben? Obviously, you don't own him, so you'll be able to give a much more less biased view.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a decent option. Whether he's captainable, not in like entirely sort of as sure on that, to be honest. Of course, there is an element of minutes risks, although I do think saying that he gets 60 minutes, at the very minimum, which is good. And of course, he's almost on that sort of like goodbye tour now, so he's going to sort of want to put a big impression and sort of make a marker and sort of prove a point over the next few game weeks, as it sort of come out that De Bruyne wanted to really stay and just wasn't given the opportunity to do so. So that could have an element of impact too. So yeah, I think he's a decent option. A lot of managers are going to be turned off of captaining him just because he's the first game of the game week, and you never know. We may get a leak prior to the deadline that De Bruyne is starting. We did do last week, so let's see if we can do again this week.
Yeah, another thing for the City assets in general really is obviously Rodri and Haaland are back in training now. So, big boost for City. They're obviously going for that top five places. So you'd imagine both of them would come into the team. Maybe, in bits against Wolves, maybe off the bench, and then, probably more full time after that.
Okay, so next up we're going to Jared Bowen, who is a talisman here at West Ham, and of course, like I said, a team that might be on the beach a little bit this season, but they do have two very good fixtures in a row: Tottenham at home and Manchester United away. Who would have thought that at the start of the season? 19 goal involvement so far this season has been really good from his 20 big chance involvement. So he is fairly prolific in terms of his scoring and assisting. So yeah, I do think a really good option. Looks to be in a decent sort of vein of form, and at 7.6 million is at a decent price point as well. I think quite a lot of managers will look towards him. Sometimes you would think maybe on paper Tottenham, Man United and Forest aren't the greatest, but they're the sort of games that Jared Bowen does in fact thrive in. So Josh, what's the thoughts on Bowen?
Yeah, off the back of two 9-pointers, so he's definitely on the radar of a lot of managers. Like you mentioned, Tottenham and United are actually good fixtures anyway, but both of them have those Europa League games that they're looking forward to. Tottenham game is after the first leg, United game is after the second leg, so you'd imagine both sides would rotate at least somewhat. I know United didn't rotate against Bournemouth at the weekend, but post Lyon game they did rotate quite heavily against Wolves, so I'd expect something similar happening again. So yeah, really nice option against maybe two depleted defences. I think Spurs, well, they changed their whole back four, I think it was, against Liverpool at the weekend, so I'd imagine something similar would happen again against West Ham. And yeah, obviously, the big London derby, West Ham are usually always up for that sort of game, so yeah, I think it's a decent pick overall. Okay then, so next up is Brian Mbeumo, probably one of the most sought after FPL assets at the moment after his 18-point haul. We haven't seen him play in this game week at the moment. We're recording this on Wednesday night. He's due to play tomorrow night, so if he does get injured or if he hauls again, we'll have to wait and see on that. Forest away, United at home, Ipswich away, three really good fixtures. Well, Forest away is already happening this week, so ignore that. But United at home and Ipswich away for the next two is really good, and the fixtures after that for Brentford as well are decent. They're again one of the highest fixture ticker for teams in terms of their fixtures. 18 goals, 7 assists. He's the second highest scoring FPL asset in FPL right now behind Mo Salah. You have to have him, right, Ben? He's maybe even a captaincy option for Gameweek 35.
Yeah, I think quite a few of the engaged managers will probably captain him going into Game Week 35. He's a player that I don't currently have at the moment, and it's highly possible that by the deadline I'll want to get him in at the very least, because he is in really good form. He off the back of some mega hauls in recent weeks. So yeah, there's no reason not to go for him. The stumbling block for some managers might be the price point being a little bit awkward, so it may take a couple of transfers to bring him in if you're upgrading sort of some of the assets that you have sort of previously bench boosted. So that's just a consideration to make. A lot of managers may need to make that second transfer, so weigh that up if it's worth that extra one. But in terms of big chance involvement, etc., he's ticking all the boxes in terms of potential returns, especially against some sides that are rotating and already relegated. So one option you might look towards if you aren't able to make that Mbeumo move is maybe going to Kevin Schade instead. 5.1 million means that he doesn't hold sort of too much risk in terms of value, and for those that bench boost boosted in the last couple of weeks, that may be a good option if you don't want to use too many transfers and want to save them up towards the end of the season. 7 goals and 4 assists isn't the greatest of returns, but he is performing in line with his XG and XA data. I do think Brentford could score a few goals in the upcoming few game weeks, and I think Sharda could potentially be one that gets involved. Josh, are you in the same opinion with Sharda? Is he a good value pick?
Yeah, I totally agree. If you can't, it's a big price difference between him and Mbumo, like 3 million in budget. So if you can't afford him, I think Sharda's definitely a decent option. He's got real haul ability as well. We saw it earlier in the season, came away with, I think, a hat-trick and an assist. So, on his day, he can definitely haul. It's just he hasn't really had probably the sustained minutes to do that. He's played, 900 less than Mbumo, so I wouldn't say he's a minute's risk, but he's not obviously played that sort of length of time that Mbumo. Mbumo plays 90 minutes week in, week out, but you're not going to have Mbumo for 5 million. So it's just weighing it up. For me personally, if you can get Mbumo for maybe 2 free transfers, I definitely would do that over Sharda. But if you're really struck for or trying to look for cash, I think Sharda's a decent option. Okay, then on to the forwards then. Only a couple to go through. It's Johan Visser up first. Again, sticking on that Brentford train. Fixtures are lovely. Johan Visser is been phenomenal really this season. I don't think a lot of managers really have owned him. I brought him in last game week, the game week before last, got 11 points on my bench boost, which was fantastic. A good debut for him in my FPL team. 15 goals, 5 assists, 20 goals involvements this season. His data backs up his sort of record as well. He just gets loads of big chances. He's a big chance absolute magnet. So even when he's not scoring, he's usually missing big chances left, right and centre. What's your thoughts on him, Ben? Would you maybe even consider a double up of Mbumo and Visser?
Definitely a consideration, and because Visser is at that pretty affordable price point in terms of strikers, because a lot will have strikers that are a little bit more expensive, they can sort of downgrade into Visser to potentially upgrade into Mbumo in midfield. So I think he is a good facilitator to double up. Of course, a little bit of a risk, but it's risk season at the moment in terms of gaining FPL rank, etc. So I think he would be the perfect complementary double up for the Brentford attack alongside Mbumo. It seems like a pretty good option to me. Okay, and finally we have got Chris Wood in from Nottingham Forest. The fixtures are really, really good for Forest, as we spoke about earlier. And at 7 million, again, not the sort of not the cheapest, but also not the most expensive option to go to. So pretty attainable for most FPL managers. Of course, 19 goals from 24 big chance involvements is pretty ridiculous to be able to sort of convert that many goals. But that's just been the theme of Chris Wood's season. Don't think it's going to sort of end before the end of the season. He's going to continue burying those chances because he is a fantastic finisher. And as you can see off the XG and XA stats, he is outperforming both of them by a distance. With the good fixtures coming up, I think there are goals on the table for Forest. We've seen them play very defensively against a decent standard of team. But, for example, Leicester and West Ham, I can see them having a lot more possession and Wood getting a lot more chances as a result. Josh, what's your thoughts there on Chris Wood?
Yeah, I love him. He's been a great pick throughout this season. And for those that got him in early, well done. For me, him and Visser, probably 2 of the most key forwards to have in this sort of run-in for the last 4 game weeks. The fixtures are there. He's on penalties. There's not too much not to like about him. And like you say, that Leicester fixture, I remember him double-digit hauling against them in the reverse fixture earlier in the year. West Ham as well. I'm sure he probably scored against them in the reverse fixture too. So, yeah, for me, fantastic option. And maybe even a captaincy option in that game week 36. Okay, then, so that wraps up transfer targets for game week 35. Let us know who you're looking at bringing in the comments if we haven't gone through them in this video. And yeah, this is probably going to be the last one of the season because there's not too many game weeks left.
Yeah, not too many game weeks at all. Just that final stretch now to try and get as good a rank as possible. Let us know what your ranks are as well. And as always, please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the FPL Graduates. I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
We'll see you guys
next time. Have a good game week, everyone.
So you